Welcome back to ZenLight 8, your sanctuary for exploring profound life lessons that help you live more fully and avoid regrets as the years pass by. Today, we're diving into a deeply meaningful journey with our video titled Old Age Regrets. Life lessons you need to learn before it's too late. This isn't just a list of advice. It's a collection of hard-earned wisdom distilled from real experiences, from tears, laughter, and the stumbles of countless lives. Life is a one-way trip with no return ticket, and the scariest thing isn't death itself, but looking back and realizing you've missed out on what truly matters. Have you ever wondered what will haunt you most when you're lying on your deathbed in your final days? It won't be the shiny titles, the overflowing bank accounts, or the luxury cars you once took pride in. The transcript we'll explore today reveals a simple yet brutal truth. When you leave this world, people won't talk about your achievements. They'll remember who you were as a person. Were you kind? Did you love authentically? Or did you let life sweep you away, chasing fleeting things while losing sight of what's truly valuable? Here at ZenLight 8, we don't just want you to listen. We want you to reflect and act. This video will guide you through lessons that seem basic but are so easily forgotten. From cherishing time, the most precious resource we often squander, to learning to let go of toxic relationships to find peace. We'll talk about money, a shield against many challenges, but incapable of buying genuine love or friendship. And even more importantly, we'll reflect on health, self-worth, and how you treat yourself on this journey. Life doesn't wait for anyone, and youth slips away faster than you realize. What you do today, how you love, how you forgive, how you face your fears, will shape the years ahead. ZenLight 8 hopes this video inspires you to live differently, so when you look back, you can smile instead of sigh. As the transcript reminds us, you only pass through this life once. There's no encore. So why not start living with purpose right now? Join us as we unpack these life-changing insights. They're not just words. They're a wake-up call to stop postponing joy, to value the moments with those you love, and to take responsibility for your own path. Whether it's saying no without guilt, prioritizing your health, or daring to chase what sets your soul on fire, these lessons are your compass. At ZenLight 8, we believe that every day is a chance to rewrite your story. Let's step into this wisdom together and make sure that when the curtain falls, we're at peace with the true value in life, what really matters when the end comes. When we think about what defines a life well lived, society often points us toward a narrow set of markers: wealth, status, accolades, and the trophies we collect along the way. We're taught to chase promotions, bigger houses, and fancier cars, believing that these are the things that will cement our legacy. But the transcript from ZenLight 8's video offers a sobering counterpoint. When you're gone, no one at your funeral will be tallying up your accomplishments or reading your resume aloud. Instead, they'll talk about who you were, the essence of your character, the warmth of your heart, and the way you made them feel. This is the first and perhaps most profound lesson about the true value in life. It's not what you achieve, but how you live and treat others that leaves a lasting imprint. The illusion of achievements. Picture this. You've spent decades climbing the corporate ladder, sacrificing weekends, missing family dinners, and pushing your body to the brink for that corner office. You finally get there, and for a moment the world applauds. But fast forward to the end of your life. As you lie in a hospital bed, surrounded by beeping machines and sterile walls, will that plaque on your wall or that bonus check bring you comfort? The transcript suggests not. Nobody talks about the departed's achievements. It states plainly, and it's true, funerals aren't boardroom presentations. They're gatherings of memory, emotion, and human connection. People don't stand up to say, "He was the youngest VP in company history." They say, "He always had a kind word," or "She made me feel seen." Achievements fade into the background. It's the human moments that endure. This isn't to say that ambition is meaningless. Striving for goals can give life direction and purpose. But the trap lies in believing that these external markers are the ultimate measure of your worth. The video challenges us to rethink our priorities, urging us to attend funerals and listen, really listen, to what people value in the end. It's a wake-up call to shift our focus from the relentless pursuit of more to the quiet cultivation of better relationships, better character, better moments of grace. Money, a tool, not a treasure. The transcript takes this idea further by dissecting the role of money in our lives. Money can buy flatterers but not friends. It can buy sexual favors but not love. It declares. This line cuts to the core of a modern obsession, the belief that wealth can solve all problems and fill all voids. Money is undeniably powerful. It can put a roof over your head, food on your table, and medicine in your cabinet. It can even buy you admiration, the kind that comes from people who are drawn to your success rather than your soul. But there's a limit to its reach, and that's where its illusion crumbles. Consider the flatterers. They're the ones who shower you with praise when your pockets are full, but vanish the moment your fortunes dip. They're not friends. They're transactional acquaintances, tethered to you by what you can offer rather than who you are. True friendship, on the other hand, doesn't come with a price tag. It's forged in shared struggles, late-night conversations, and unwavering support, things money can't manufacture. A friend who stands by you when you're broke, who laughs with you through tears, is worth more than 1,000 sycophants who scatter when the cash runs dry. Then there's love, the deepest human longing. Money can buy a night of pleasure, a fleeting thrill, or even a partner who stays for the lifestyle. But love, real, soul-shaking, unconditional love, that's beyond the grasp of any currency. You can't wire transfer loyalty or buy a heart that beats for you in return. The transcript's bluntness here is a gift. It strips away the fantasy that wealth can fill the emptiness inside. Instead, it points us toward the harder, richer work of building connections that money can't touch. Living with intention. So if achievements and money aren't the ultimate arbiters of a valuable life, what is? The answer lies in how we live day to day, the small, deliberate choices that shape our character and ripple into the lives of others. The video urges us to attend as many funerals as you can bear and listen, not as a morbid exercise, but as a way to recalibrate our compass. Funerals strip away pretense. They reveal what people cling to when the noise of life fades. Kindness, generosity, authenticity. These are the threads that weave a legacy worth remembering. Living with intention means prioritizing presence over prestige. It's choosing to sit with a friend in silence when they're hurting rather than rushing off to chase the next deadline. It's offering a stranger a smile instead of a cold shoulder. It's forgiving when it's hard, loving when it's risky, and showing up when it's inconvenient. These acts don't make headlines or pad your bank account, but they're the currency of a life well lived. They're what people will carry with them long after you're gone. The cost of chasing the wrong things. The flip side of this lesson is the regret that comes from missing it. The transcript warns that, in the end, we only regret the chances we didn't take, the relationships we were too afraid to have, and the decisions we waited too long to make. Imagine reaching old age and realizing you spent your best years building a resume instead of a life. You amassed wealth but lost touch with the people who mattered. You bought flattery but never earned trust. That's the tragedy of chasing the wrong things, not just the waste of time, but the loss of what could have been. This regret isn't inevitable, though. The beauty of this lesson is its immediacy. You don't have to wait until you're old to shift your focus. You can start today, right now, by asking yourself, what am I valuing? Am I pouring my energy into things that will matter when I'm gone? Or am I distracted by shiny illusions? The transcript's call to get yourself together before you get any older is a plea for action. The older you get, the harder it is to change, but it's never too late to begin. Stories that prove the point. To bring this home, let's consider a few examples, real or imagined, that echo the transcript's wisdom. Think of the billionaire who dies alone, surrounded by luxury but estranged from his children because he prioritized board meetings over bedtime stories. His obituary lists his net worth, but his funeral is sparsely attended, the silence louder than any eulogy. Contrast that with the teacher who never made much money but touched hundreds of lives with her patience and care. Her funeral overflows with former students, each sharing a story of how she shaped them. Her bank account was modest, but her legacy is immeasurable. Or take a personal lens, my own grandfather. He wasn't a man of wealth or fame. He worked long hours at a factory, his hands rough from labor. But what I remember, what we all remember, isn't his job title. It's the way he'd sit with me on the porch, telling stories, or how he'd help a neighbor fix a fence without expecting anything in return. When he passed, the room was full of people who loved him, not because of what he had, but because of who he was. That's the kind of value the transcript is pointing us toward. Money's limits in relationships. Let's dig deeper into the money angle because it's a sticking point for so many. We live in a world that equates wealth with worth, but the transcript dismantles that myth with surgical precision. Money can buy flatterers but not friends isn't just a poetic line. It's a warning. I've seen it play out in real life. A friend who came into sudden wealth after years of struggle. At first, his circle grew new faces, lavish parties, endless compliments. But when the money dried up, so did the crowd. The ones who stayed weren't the ones dazzled by his cash. They were the ones who'd been there all along, sharing cheap coffee and honest talks. Money bought him a spotlight, but not a foundation. And love? I think of couples where one partner stays for the perks, the vacations, the designer bags, but bolts when the funds falter. Compare that to the elderly pair I once met at a park, holding hands after 50 years together. They laughed about their lean early days, living in a tiny apartment with barely enough to scrape by. Their love wasn't built on what they could buy, but on what they could endure together. Money couldn't have scripted that call to redefine success. So where does this leave us? The transcript isn't telling us to abandon ambition or swear off money altogether. It's asking us to redefine success on our own terms, terms that outlast the applause and the bank statements. Success isn't the corner office. It's the lives you touch while getting there. It's not the size of your house, but the warmth inside it. It's not how much you earn, but how much you give, not just materially, but emotionally. This shift requires courage. It means saying no to the world's script and yes to your own. It means valuing a quiet evening with loved ones over a networking event. It means choosing integrity over popularity, depth over dazzle. The transcript's wisdom is clear. People will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. That's the yardstick of a life worth living. Practical steps to live this truth. How do we put this into practice? Start small. Today, reach out to someone you've neglected, not with an agenda, but just to connect. Listen more than you speak. Do something kind without expecting a reward. Reflect on your goals. Are they feeding your soul or just your ego? Cut back on chasing flattery, the likes, the claps, the shallow praise, and invest in relationships that challenge and uplift you. And when money tempts you to trade time for treasure, pause. Ask yourself, will this matter when I'm old? The transcript also hints at self-awareness. Be careful how you talk to yourself because you are listening. Living this lesson means treating yourself with the same kindness you'd offer a friend. You don't need to be perfect, you need to be present. That's where the real value lies. The long game. In the end, this is about playing the long game. Achievements and money are short-term wins. They glitter, then fade. But how you live and treat others, that's the long-term investment with infinite returns. The transcript reminds us that time is what we want most, but what we use worst. Every moment you spend building a life of meaning is a moment you won't regret. Every act of love, every gesture of kindness, every choice to be your truest self, these are the bricks of a legacy that doesn't need a trophy case. So as we close this exploration, let's take the ZenLight 8 message to heart. Life isn't about what you stack up. It's about what you give out. When the curtains fall, let them fall on a stage filled with love, not loneliness, with people, not possessions. That's the true value in life, and it's ours to claim, one intentional day at a time. Change and letting go, the courage to evolve before time runs out. Life is a constant dance of holding on and letting go, of growing and shedding what no longer serves us. Yet, too often, we cling to habits, mindsets, and people that weigh us down, convincing ourselves that change can wait. The transcript from ZenLight 8's video delivers a stark wake-up call. Get yourself together before you get any older. The older you are, the harder it is to change. It's a plea for urgency, a reminder that time isn't an infinite resource. And paired with that is the equally vital lesson. If you don't let go of the wrong people, you'll never meet the right ones. Together, these ideas form a powerful truth. To live a life free of regret, we must embrace change and release what holds us back, starting now. The weight of stagnation. Change is hard. It's uncomfortable, messy, and often terrifying. We're creatures of habit, wired to seek the familiar even when it's painful. The transcript doesn't sugarcoat this. The older we get, the more entrenched we become. Think about it, a 20-year-old can pivot careers, move cities, or end a toxic friendship with relative ease. Their life is still a blank canvas, open to bold strokes. But by 40, 50, or 60, those choices feel heavier. Patterns solidify, responsibilities pile up, and the fear of failure looms larger. That's not to say change is impossible later in life. It's just that the stakes feel higher, the effort greater. I've seen this in my own family. My uncle spent decades in a job he hated, promising himself he'd leave someday. But someday never came. By the time he hit 55, he'd built a life around that misery. A mortgage, a routine, a resigned acceptance. When I asked why he didn't change sooner, he said, "It was easier to stay than to start over." Easier, yes, but at what cost? His health deteriorated, his spirit dimmed, and the regret in his eyes was palpable. The transcript's warning, "Get yourself together before you get any older," isn't just advice. It's a lifeline. Every year you delay, the hill gets steeper. Why change matters. But why is change so critical? Because stagnation is the enemy of growth. If you don't evolve, you're not just standing still, you're falling behind. Life doesn't pause for you to catch up. It moves forward, with or without your consent. The transcript ties this to regret. In the end, we only regret the chances we didn't take. Imagine reaching old age and looking back at a life half-lived, and not because you lacked opportunity, but because you lacked courage. That's the tragedy of refusing to change. Change isn't about grand gestures, though. It's not always quitting your job or moving across the world. Sometimes it's quieter. Breaking a bad habit, shifting your mindset, or choosing to value yourself more. Maybe it's saying no instead of yes, or speaking up when you'd rather stay silent. These small acts of transformation compound over time, reshaping who you are and what your life becomes. The key is starting before the weight of years makes it feel impossible. The science of habit and age. There's a reason the transcript emphasizes age. Science backs this up. As we get older, our brains become less plastic. Neuroplasticity, the ability to rewire our thinking and behavior, peaks in youth and gradually declines. It's why kids learn languages effortlessly while adults struggle. It's why a 30-year-old can bounce back from a breakup faster than a 60-year-old. Habits calcify, comfort zones shrink, and the energy required to break free grows. That's not an excuse to give up. It's a reason to act now. The sooner you change, the more runway you have to build a life you're proud of. Letting go, the other half of change. Change isn't just about what you do. It's about what you stop doing. And that brings us to the second part of this lesson. Letting go of the wrong people. The transcript puts it bluntly. If you don't let go of the wrong people, you'll never meet the right people. This is a truth that hits hard because relationships shape us more than we often admit. The people you surround yourself with influence your mood, your choices, your very sense of self. Cling to the wrong ones and you're not just stuck, you're suffocating. Who are the wrong people? They're the ones who drain you, who criticize more than they encourage, who take without giving. They're the friend who only calls when they need something, the partner who dims your light, the colleague who thrives on your insecurity. Holding onto them isn't loyalty, it's self-sabotage. The transcript echoes this elsewhere. Stay away from people who make you feel lonely. No company is better than bad company. It's a radical idea in a culture that prizes connection at all costs, but it's liberating. You don't owe anyone your time or energy, especially not those who diminish you. The pain of holding on, letting go hurts. It's why we resist it. I remember a friend I kept in my life far too long. Someone who was fun and charming but perpetually unreliable. Every canceled plan, every broken promise chipped away at me. Yet I held on, thinking, they'll change. They didn't. When I finally cut ties, it felt like losing a limb, until I realized how much lighter I was without them. That space opened up, and within months, I met people who lifted me up instead of pulling me down. The transcript's right. You can't welcome the right people until you release the wrong ones. This isn't just anecdotal. Studies show that toxic relationships increase stress, lower self-esteem, and even harm physical health. A 2015 study from University College London found that people in negative relationships had higher risks of heart disease. Holding on doesn't just hurt your soul, it hurts your body. Letting go, then, isn't selfish. It's survival. The fear of being alone. One reason we cling is fear of loneliness, fear of judgment, fear that no one better will come along. The transcript counters this. Be single with peace of mind is way better than having a relationship with someone who makes your life miserable. It's a bold stance, but it's true. Loneliness is temporary. Misery can last a lifetime if you let it. I've been there, staying in a relationship past its expiration date because I dreaded the void. But when I finally walked away, the void didn't swallow me. It freed me. Solitude taught me who I was, and that clarity drew the right people in. How to change and let go. So how do you do it? Change and letting go are intertwined. You can't fully evolve without releasing what anchors you. Here's a practical roadmap, inspired by the transcript's wisdom. 1. Self-reflection. Start by asking, what's holding me back? Is it a habit, a mindset, a person? Be honest. The transcript says, make peace with your past so it won't screw up your present. That starts with facing the truth. 2. Small steps. You don't need to overhaul your life overnight. Want to be healthier? Skip one soda today. Want better friends? Say no to one draining invite. The transcript notes, the first step to getting anywhere is deciding you're not willing to stay where you are. Momentum builds from tiny choices. 3. Set boundaries. Letting go doesn't always mean cutting ties completely. Sometimes it's redefining them. Tell that needy friend, I can't talk every day. Tell that critical parent, I need space. The transcript advises, learn to say no without feeling guilty. Boundaries are change in action. 4. Grieve and move on. Letting go involves loss. Acknowledge it, cry, journal, scream if you must, then release it. The transcript says, don't cling to a mistake just because you spent a lot of time making it. Time invested isn't a reason to stay stuck. 5. Seek the right people. Once you've cleared space, fill it intentionally. Join a class, volunteer, or reconnect with someone uplifting. The right people won't exhaust you, they'll inspire you. As the transcript puts it, make and keep friends with the people you want to emulate. The ripple effect. Change and letting go don't just transform you, they ripple outward. When you shed negativity, you become a better friend, partner, parent. I saw this with a colleague who left a toxic job. She was bitter and withdrawn before, but after, she glowed, her laughter returned. Her energy lifted everyone. By changing herself and letting go of what dragged her down, she didn't just save herself, she enriched her circle. The urgency of now. The transcript's urgency, before you get any older, is what makes this lesson so compelling. Time is a thief and it doesn't negotiate. Every day you delay change or cling to the wrong people is a day you can't reclaim. I think of my grandmother, who at 70 decided to learn painting after years of saying, I'm too old. She wasn't. Her canvases brought her joy and connected her to new friends. But she often said, I wish I'd started sooner. That's the regret we can avoid by acting now. Stories of transformation. Consider the story of a man I read about who, at 45, ended a 20-year marriage that had long turned sour. He'd stayed for the kids, for stability, for fear of the unknown. But when he finally left, he found peace, and later, a partner who matched his soul. Or the woman who, at 30, quit a soul-crushing corporate gig to teach yoga. She lost money but gained purpose, and her students became her tribe. These aren't fairy tales. They're proof that change and letting go, though hard, open doors. The long-term reward. The reward isn't instant. Change can feel like chaos, and letting go can leave you raw. But over time, you'll see it. A life less cluttered, a heart less heavy, a path more yours. The transcript ties this to legacy. People will never forget how you made them feel. By changing yourself and surrounding yourself with the right people, you create a ripple of good that outlasts you. Call to action. So here's the challenge, straight from Zenlight 8's wisdom. Don't wait. Today, pick one thing to change: a habit, a thought, a yes that should be a no. Pick one person to distance, not out of spite, but out of self-love. The older you get, the harder it is, but it's never too late. As the transcript says, you can start your life over any time you want. Why not now? Let go of the anchors, step into the unknown, and watch how the right things and the right people find their way to you. Finance and health, the twin pillars of a regret-free life. In a world obsessed with instant gratification and outward success, it's easy to overlook the quiet foundations that hold life together: money and health. The transcript from Zenlight 8's video cuts through the noise with a clear directive. Take your financial life seriously. Money is a defense to a lot of challenges. Health is another form of wealth. Don't spend your money on homes you can't afford, fancy cars, and running your credit cards to the max. This isn't just practical advice. It's a philosophy for living well and avoiding the regrets that creep in when these pillars crumble. Money and health aren't glamorous, but they're the bedrock of freedom, peace, and a life you can look back on with pride. Money, a shield, not a status symbol. Let's start with finance. The transcript calls money a defense to a lot of challenges. And that's a truth worth unpacking. Money isn't the root of all evil, nor is it the key to happiness. It's a tool. Done right, it's a shield that protects you from life's storms. A medical emergency, a job loss, a broken car. It buys you options, the ability to say no to a toxic boss, to care for a loved one, to rest when you're burned out. But too often, we wield it like a trophy instead, chasing status over security. I've seen this play out firsthand. A friend of mine, fresh out of college, landed a decent job and immediately leased a luxury car he couldn't afford. The payments ate half his salary, and when his company downsized, he was stuck. No savings, no buffer, just a shiny car he couldn't drive without panic. Contrast that with my aunt, who lived frugally, saved diligently, and retired early. When her husband fell ill, she had the means to cover his care without blinking. Money didn't buy her joy, but it bought her peace. That's what the transcript means by defense. Not a private jet, but a safety net. The trap of overspending. The warning against reckless spending. Don't spend it on homes you can't afford, fancy cars, and running your credit cards to the max. Is a direct shot at our culture's obsession with keeping up appearances. It's tempting to buy the big house, the designer clothes, the latest tech, especially when social media screams that everyone else is doing it. But the transcript flips the script. In the end, you'll be much happier when you get up in the morning if you live within your means. Happiness isn't in the stuff. It's in the freedom that comes from not being shackled to debt. Take the 2008 financial crisis as a lesson. Millions lost homes they'd overextended to buy, not because they needed 5 bedrooms, but because they wanted to impress. Meanwhile, those who lived modestly weathered the storm. I knew a couple who resisted the pressure to upgrade their small apartment. When the crash hit, they stayed afloat while neighbors drowned in foreclosure. The transcript's right. Overspending doesn't just strain your wallet, it steals your future. Health, the wealth you can't buy back. Now health. The transcript calls it another form of wealth. And that understated phrase carries profound weight. You can rebuild a bank account, but you can't rebuild a body once it's broken beyond repair. Health is the silent currency that dictates how you experience every moment. Whether you wake up energized or exhausted, whether you climb a hill or watch from the sidelines. Neglect it, and no amount of money will undo the damage. As the transcript warns elsewhere, take care of your body. Without health, nothing will matter. I learned this the hard way. In my 20s, I treated my body like an afterthought, late nights, junk food, no exercise. I figured I had time to fix it later. Then a health scare at 30, a prediabetes diagnosis, jolted me awake. My doctor said, "You can't buy your way out of this. You have to change now." It was a brutal reminder that health isn't a luxury. It's a necessity. I started small, walking, cooking, sleeping more. Years later, I'm grateful I didn't wait. The transcript's call to prioritize health isn't preachy. It's urgent, because time doesn't forgive neglect. The interconnection of finance and health. Here's where it gets interesting. Money and health aren't separate silos. They're intertwined. Financial stress wrecks your health. Studies link debt to anxiety, depression, even heart disease. A 2016 study from Northwestern University found that people with high debt had 13% higher diastolic blood pressure than those without. Conversely, poor health drains your finances, medical bills, lost workdays, expensive fixes for years of neglect. Overspend on a flashy lifestyle, and you might skip the gym or doctor's visits to make ends meet. Ignore your body, and you'll pay later, literally and figuratively. My cousin's story drives this home. He chased a high-flying career, racking up debt for a big house and fancy vacations. The stress kept him up at night, chain-smoking and eating takeout. At 40, he had a heart attack, and the bills that followed nearly bankrupted him. Money he'd spent on status couldn't shield him from a body he'd ignored. The transcript's dual focus, finance and health, isn't random. It's a recognition that they're two sides of the same coin. The regret of neglect. This ties directly to regret, a recurring theme in the video. Imagine reaching old age with a mansion you can't enjoy because your knees won't climb the stairs, or a fat bank account you can't spend because you're tethered to an oxygen tank. The transcript warns, no amount of money can bring you joy if you are suffering. I've seen it in nursing homes, wealthy residents who'd trade every dollar for a day without pain. Meanwhile, those who'd nurtured their health, even with less money, moved freely, laughed easily. Regret doesn't come from lacking wealth. It comes from squandering the wealth you can control. Living within your means. So how do you take this seriously? Start with money. Don't spend on things beyond your means. Isn't about deprivation. It's about empowerment. Living within your income isn't sexy, but it's liberating. Budgeting isn't punishment. It's strategy. When I started tracking my spending, I was shocked at how much went to coffee runs and impulse buys. Cutting those didn't ruin my life. It gave me savings, a buffer, a sense of control. The transcript promises happiness in this. You'll be much happier when you get up in the morning. It's true, waking up without debt's shadow is a quiet joy. Practical steps help. Make a budget. 50% needs, 30% wants, 20% savings is a solid rule. Pay off high-interest debt first. It's a thief in disguise. Build an emergency fund, 3 months expenses minimum. And resist the urge to keep up. Your worth isn't your car. I know a guy who drives a 15-year-old sedan but owns his home outright. He sleeps better than the neighbor with the leased BMW. Investing in health. Health demands equal attention. Take care of your body isn't a cliche. It's a mandate. You don't need a gym membership or organic kale to start. Walk 30 minutes a day. It's free and cuts heart disease risk by 19%, per the American Heart Association. Swap soda for water. Your liver will thank you. Sleep 7 hours. It's not lazy, it's science. I started cooking simple meals, rice, veggies, chicken, and dropped 10 pounds without trying. Small habits compound just like savings. The transcript's broader wisdom applies. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. A checkup today beats surgery tomorrow. My dad ignored his cholesterol for years, then faced a triple bypass at 60. He said, "I'd give anything to go back and eat better." Don't wait for that wake-up call. The cultural lie. Our culture fights this. Ad scream, "Buy now, pay later." Social media flaunts perfect bodies and lavish lives, implying you're less if you don't join in. But the transcript rejects that lie. Money and health aren't for show, they're for living. I fell for it once, maxing out a credit card for a trip to prove I was thriving. I was broke and exhausted. The real thriving came later, when I paid it off and started running. Simple, unglamorous, mine. Stories of balance. Look at people who get it right. My neighbor, a retired nurse, never earned big but saved enough to travel in her 60s, on her terms, not debts. She walks daily, gardens, stays sharp. Contrast that with a former boss who flaunted wealth, Rolex, private club, but died at 55 from stress-related illness, leaving a widow buried in bills. Money and health balanced build a life. Skewed, they break it. The long game. This is about the long game. The transcript says, the most valuable currency is not money but time. Money buys time if you use it wisely, time to rest, to heal, to live. Health buys time 2 years unmarred by avoidable pain. Overspend or neglect your body, and you're trading decades for moments. I think of my grandma, who lived to 90 on a modest pension and daily stretches. She didn't have much, but she had enough, and her health let her enjoy it. Call to action. So here's your ZenLight 8 challenge. Take finance and health seriously today. Check your bank account. Where can you cut? Check your body. What's one habit to shift? Maybe it's skipping that $5 latte or taking the stairs. Maybe it's paying off a card or drinking more water. Start small, but start now. The transcript promises, know your worth. Never put yourself in the bargain bin. You're not cheap, your life isn't either. Build these pillars strong, and when old age comes, you'll stand tall, not stooped by regret. Time is the most precious asset, seizing the day before it's gone. Of all the currencies we possess, time is the most valuable and the most fleeting. The transcript from ZenLight 8's video drives this home with piercing clarity. Time is what we want most, but what we use worst. It slips through our fingers, unnoticed in the rush of daily life, until one day we look back and wonder where it went. The call is urgent. Use it wisely, don't delay joy, and avoid squandering it on what doesn't matter. Because when the end comes, the deepest regrets won't be about what you did wrong, but what you didn't do at all, the chances you let slip, the happiness you deferred, the life you could have lived. Time is the ultimate gift, and how we spend it shapes everything. The relentless march of time. Time doesn't wait. It's a river that flows whether you swim or stand still. The transcript captures this with haunting simplicity. The days are long, but the years are short. A single day can feel endless, stuck in traffic, grinding through work, scrolling mindlessly, yet blink, and a decade is gone. I felt this acutely at my high school reunion. People I'd laughed with 20 years ago were now graying, raising kids, or mourning losses. Where did the time go? We asked, half laughing, half aching. It didn't go anywhere, we spent it, often without realizing. This relentless pace is what makes time so precious. Unlike money, you can't earn more. Unlike health, you can't always reclaim it. The transcript warns, the tomorrow is promised to no one. I saw this when a friend, healthy at 35, died suddenly in a car accident. He talked about traveling someday, writing a book later. Later never came. Time scarcity isn't a threat. It's a truth that begs us to act. The cost of wasting time. What does it mean to use time wisely? The transcript offers clues. Don't waste it on unworthy things. Don't postpone joy. Too often, we pour hours into what's trivial or draining. A job we hate, a grudge we nurse, a screen that numbs us. I once tracked my week and found I'd spent 15 hours on social media, chasing likes instead of life. Meanwhile, I delayed a hike with friends, telling myself, next weekend. That weekend rained out, and the moment was lost. The transcript's right. Time always exposes what you truly mean to someone, and to yourself. What you give your hours to reveals your priorities, whether you admit it or not. Wasting time isn't just about laziness. It's about distraction. We chase the urgent over the important, the shiny over the meaningful. The transcript elsewhere says, stop telling people everything. Most don't care, and some secretly want you to fail. I've burned hours venting to the wrong crowd instead of building something real. Time wasted on unworthy things, gossip, envy, petty fights is time stolen from joy. The danger of postponing joy. Then there's joy, the thing we most postpone. Do not postpone joy for the sake of the future, the transcript urges. It's a trap we all fall into. I'll be happy when I get the promotion, when the kids are grown, when I retire. But when is a mirage. I did this in my 20s, grinding at a desk job, promising myself I'd travel once I had enough saved. By the time I did, my knees creaked, and my wanderlust had dulled. Joy delayed is often joy denied, not because you can't have it later, but because you miss its peak. My mom taught me this unintentionally. She always wanted to learn piano but put it off for decades. Kids, work, life. At 65, she finally started, and her joy was real, but tinged with, why didn't I do this sooner? The transcript nails it. Sometimes you will never know the value of a moment until it becomes a memory. Postponing joy assumes time is guaranteed. It's not. Regret, the shadow of unseized opportunities. This leads to the heart of the lesson, regret. In the end, we only regret the chances we didn't take, the relationships we were too afraid to have, and the decisions we waited too long to make, the transcript says. It's not failure that haunts us, it's inaction. I felt this sting. In college, I skipped a study abroad program, scared of the cost and the unknown. Years later, I met someone who'd gone. Her stories of Italy glowed with life. My safe choice left me with a what-if that still lingers. Regret isn't loud at first. It's a whisper when you're young, a shout when you're old. The transcript paints this vividly. The future, that's when you'll be sorry for everything you could have done today but didn't. Picture yourself at 80, not mourning a bad investment, but a dream you shelved, a love you didn't chase, a risk you dodged. That's the weight of unseized opportunities, not what you lost, but what you never tried to gain. Time as a finite resource. To grasp time's value, see it as finite. You get about 4,000 weeks if you live to 80, a number that sounds big until you count how many you've used. At 30, I've spent 1,560. At 40, it'll be 2,080. Each week is a coin you can't mint again. The transcript says, you only pass through this life once. You don't come back for an encore. It's a sobering math that shifts how you spend those coins on fleeting distractions or lasting meaning. How to use time wisely. So how do you honor time? The transcript's call to use it wisely isn't vague. It's actionable. Here's a roadmap, drawn from its wisdom and my own stumbles. 1. Prioritize what matters. Ask, will this matter in 5 years? If not, cut it. I stopped binge-watching shows I didn't even like. Hours reclaimed for writing, a passion I'd neglected. The transcript advises, focus your attention on creating the life you want. 2. Say yes to joy now, don't wait. Book the trip, call the friend, dance in the kitchen. I started a joy jar, scribbling moments I delay, a picnic, a movie, and doing one weekly. It's small, but it's life. 3. Say no to waste. Decline the draining party, the pointless argument. The transcript says, learn to say no without feeling guilty. I skipped a toxic reunion last year, no regret, just relief. 4. Be present. Time isn't just spent, it's felt. The transcript notes, people will never forget how you made them feel. I put my phone down during dinner with my partner. The connection was worth more than any text. 5. Act on opportunities. Take the risk. Apply for the job, ask them out, start the hobby. I joined a writing group after years of maybe. My first story got published. The transcript urges, the greatest risk is not taking one. The science of time perception. Science adds depth here. Psychologists say time feels faster as we age because new experiences slow it down. A child's summer drags because it's fresh. An adult's flies because it's routine. The transcript's push to seize opportunities aligns with this. Break the monotony, and time stretches. I felt this on a spontaneous road trip. 3 days felt like a month. Rich with memory. Stories of time well spent. Look at those who get it. My uncle, a carpenter, never had much but spent Sundays teaching me to build. Time that shaped me more than any gift. At his funeral, we didn't mourn his lack of wealth. we celebrated his presence. Or my friend who, at 50, took up surfing after decades of later. She's no pro, but her grin says she's alive. Contrast that with a colleague who chased overtime over family. At 60, he's rich but estranged, lamenting, "I should have been there." The cultural lie. Society fights this. Add sell by now, live later. Work glorifies hustle over rest. But the transcript rejects that. Take time to enjoy life's simple pleasures. I fell for the grind once, working 60-hour weeks for a better future. I got the raise and burnout. Real wealth came when I cut back, reclaiming evenings for books and stars. The long game. This is the long game. The transcript says, patience is the ultimate competitive advantage. Time used wisely builds a life of depth. Not rushed, not wasted, but full. I think of my grandpa who died at 85 with few regrets. He'd fished, loved, laughed, not always big wins, but steady joys. His secret? He didn't wait. Call to action. Here's your ZenLight 8 challenge. Treat time like gold. Today, do one thing you've delayed: a call, a walk, a dream. Drop one waste, a grudge, a scroll. The transcript promises, every second you spend comparing your life to someone else's is a second spent wasting yours. You've got 86,400 seconds today. Spend them on you, on now. When old age comes, let it find you smiling, not sighing, because you seized the day while it was yours. Relationships, cherishing the meaningful, releasing the meaningless. Life is a fleeting journey, and the time we have with friends and family is never guaranteed. At any moment, circumstances can pull us apart from those we hold dear, reminding us to treasure every second we share with them. Attend a funeral if you can, and listen closely. No one speaks of the departed's accolades or wealth. Instead, what lingers in memory is the kind of person they were, how they treated others, the warmth they offered, or the void they left behind. This truth underscores a vital lesson about relationships. Their worth lies not in what we achieve, but in how we connect, love, and leave an imprint on each other's lives. Choosing your companions wisely. Not everyone deserves a place in your life. Some people drain your spirit, leaving you lonely even in their presence, while others only draw near when it serves their interests. As the saying goes, no company is better than bad company. Surrounding yourself with those who uplift and inspire you is a deliberate act of self-respect. Money might buy flattery, but it can't purchase true friendship. It might offer fleeting pleasures, but it will never secure love. Relationships built on superficial foundations crumble under the weight of time, leaving you to realize that genuine bonds are forged through mutual care, not convenience. In youth, we often waste years fretting over what others think of us, bending ourselves to fit their expectations. In middle age, we rebel, swearing we no longer care. But as the years roll on, we see the truth. Most people aren't thinking about us at all. This revelation frees us to focus on the relationships that matter, those with family, friends, and ourselves, and to let go of the ones that don't. The regret of clinging to the wrong people far outweighs the discomfort of walking away. If you don't release those who dim your light, you'll never make room for those who help it shine brighter. The fragility of trust. Trust is a fragile gift, one that should be offered sparingly. Not everyone who claims to love you means it. Some only seek to use you, their words a mask for selfish intent. The transcript reminds us to pay close attention to those who say they love you, because so often they don't. Time reveals true colors. It exposes what you mean to someone when the masks fall off. Be cautious about sharing your innermost thoughts and plans. Most people don't care, and some secretly hope you'll falter. The wisest approach is to move in silence, letting your actions speak louder than announcements, and to trust your instincts over others' promises. This doesn't mean shutting out the world entirely. Relationships thrive on openness and vulnerability, but only with those who've earned it. The family you create, whether biological or chosen, often matters more than the one you're born into. Spend time with those who bring you peace, not chaos, and don't be afraid to set boundaries. Saying no without guilt protects your time and energy, a lesson that becomes clearer with age. After all, Whoever brings you the most peace should get the most time. The value of time. Time is the most precious currency we possess, far surpassing money in its worth. We spend it freely in youth, assuming tomorrow is promised, only to realize later that it's the one thing we can't reclaim. Relationships teach us this lesson acutely. A missed moment with a loved one can become a memory tinged with regret. The transcript urges us not to take for granted the time we spend with those we cherish, for it could be over any day. Life separates us from friends and family through distance, disagreement, or death, so we must savor the present while it's ours. Yet, time also demands balance. Don't sacrifice your goals for relationships that pull you backward. Love can bloom more than once, and losing someone doesn't mean losing yourself. Often, it's for the best. Focus on your growth, your values, and your kindness, and the right people will find their way to you without the need for chasing. Stop wasting time on women. The transcript advises, not out of cynicism, but to emphasize that self-improvement attracts the connections worth keeping. Letting go of the past, clinging to mistakes, whether your own or others, anchors you to a past that can't be changed. Relationships often falter when we refuse to release old wounds, letting them fester into resentment. Make peace with your past so it won't screw up the present, the transcript advises. Forgiveness isn't about excusing harm. It's about freeing yourself from its grip. The pain of betrayal or disappointment sharpens your wisdom, teaching you what to avoid and who to trust. But don't let it define you. As the saying goes, you can't start the next chapter of your life if you keep rereading the last one. This applies to letting go of toxic relationships too. Don't hold on to someone just because you've invested time in them. A mistake isn't worth keeping simply because it took effort to make. Walking away from those who diminish your worth isn't weakness. It's strength. Maturity lies in choosing peace over revenge, in breathing deeply and letting life handle those who've wronged you. You will never understand the damage you did to someone until the same thing is done to you. The transcript notes, a reminder that karma often settles the score. The power of self-reliance. Healthy relationships begin with a healthy relationship with yourself. If you rely on others to validate your existence, you'll always feel incomplete. Learn to be content and happy by yourself, the transcript urges, because needing company to feel whole makes you vulnerable. When you like yourself, you need less from others, and your connections become a bonus, not a crutch. This self-reliance shapes how you interact with the world. You stop chasing approval, stop tolerating disrespect, and start setting standards for how you're treated. Be careful how you speak to yourself, too. You're always listening. Negative self-talk erodes confidence, while kindness to yourself builds resilience. The transcript warns, what you give power to has power over you. By mastering your mind, you reclaim control over your emotions and relationships. This inner strength lets you walk away from those who don't value you, knowing your worth isn't negotiable. The role of boundaries. Boundaries are the guardians of healthy relationships. They protect your peace and teach others how to treat you. Don't be scared to set boundaries, the transcript advises, because if someone leaves over them, you're better off without them. People who respect you will honor your limits. Those who don't reveal their true nature. Saying no isn't selfish, it's a declaration of self-worth. The takers in life have no limits, so you must set yours, or they'll drain you dry. This extends to friendships, too. Your friends want you to do good, but not better than them, the transcript observes. Envy can lurk beneath smiles, and time often uncovers it. Surround yourself with those who expand your thinking, not just your social circle. Emulate people who inspire growth, not those who merely accept you as you are. The company you keep shapes your future, so choose wisely. The lessons of love. Love is a cornerstone of relationships, but it's not enough on its own. Love is not enough to make a happy, lasting relationship, the transcript cautions. Communication, trust, and mutual respect are the scaffolding that holds it up. Be open. Even when it's hard, difficult conversations often strengthen bonds more than silence ever could. And never devalue yourself for someone who doesn't see your worth. Don't let someone who did you wrong make you think there's something wrong with you, the transcript reminds us. Your value doesn't hinge on their recognition. Romantic relationships especially test our resolve. Don't chase someone to fill a void. Focus on becoming the person you want to be, and the right partner will align with that vision. Be single with peace of mind is way better than having a relationship with someone who makes your life miserable, the transcript asserts. Sometimes, the greatest act of love is letting go, trusting that life will bring what's meant for you in its own time. The wisdom of age. Spending time with the elderly offers a window into life's truths. Their stories reveal what matters. Not the houses they owned or the cars they drove, but the relationships they nurtured. Spend time with the elderly. Their wisdom and experiences are invaluable, the transcript notes. They've seen time strip away the trivial, leaving only the essence of human connection. Listen to them, and you'll learn to prioritize joy over regret, presence over possessions. Regret, after all, is the shadow of missed chances. In the end, we only regret the chances we didn't take, the relationships we were too afraid to have, and the decisions we waited too long to make, the transcript reflects. Don't postpone happiness for a future that's not promised. Tell those you love that you love them, and say it often. Words left unsaid become burdens carried too late. The long game. Relationships are part of life's long game, requiring patience and persistence. Patience is the ultimate competitive advantage, the transcript states, and this applies to how we build and sustain bonds. Quick fixes and shallow ties fade fast. True connections deepen with time. Focus on creating a life you're proud of, and the right people will walk beside you. When you stop chasing the wrong things, the right ones catch up, the transcript promises. In the end, relationships reflect who we are and who we choose to become. They teach us resilience, humility, and the courage to stand alone when needed. Cherish the ones that lift you up, release the ones that pull you down, and trust that every step, whether toward connection or solitude, shapes a life worth living. You only pass through this life once, the transcript reminds us. Make it count with the people who matter most. Relationships. Cherishing the meaningful, releasing the meaningless. Continued. Confidence and self-respect, the bedrock of a fulfilling life. At the heart of every meaningful relationship, whether with others or yourself, lies an unshakable sense of confidence and self-respect. Knowing your worth isn't arrogance. It's a quiet strength that anchors you through life's storms. Too often, we bend ourselves into shapes we don't recognize, desperate to please others at the expense of our own peace. But the transcript offers a stark reminder. Know your worth. Never put yourself in the bargain bin, or that's where others will value you. When you lower yourself to fit someone else's mold, you teach them to see you as less than you are, and that's a betrayal of the one person you're guaranteed to live with forever, yourself. Self-respect begins with a refusal to live solely for others' approval. In youth, we waste decades worrying about what people think, twisting ourselves into knots to earn their nods. By middle age, we rebel, declaring we don't care. But wisdom comes later, when we realize they were never watching as closely as we thought. You spend your first 20 years worrying what people think about you, your next 20 years swearing you don't care, and the next 20 years realizing they aren't thinking about you, the transcript notes. This frees you to redirect that energy inward, to build a life that honors your values, not someone else's expectations. Don't misunderstand, relationships require compromise, but never at the cost of your core. If you're always saying yes to keep others comfortable, you're saying no to yourself. Don't say yes to everyone to make them comfortable. Check with yourself too before you commit, the transcript advises. Confidence means trusting your gut, that inner voice whispering what's right for you, even when it clashes with the crowd. It's the courage to walk away from a job, a friendship, or a love that demands you shrink, knowing that your dignity isn't negotiable. This trust in yourself extends to taking responsibility for your path. No one else is walking in your shoes, and no one else can steer your life. The only person that cares about your hopes and dreams is you. The only person that is going to make them happen is you, the transcript asserts. Blaming others for your setbacks hands them power over your happiness, but owning your choices, mistakes and all, restores it. Confidence isn't about being flawless. It's about standing tall amid your imperfections, learning from them, and moving forward. Mistakes are proof that you're trying. The transcript reminds us, and each stumble is a step toward a stronger self. Self-respect also means guarding your boundaries fiercely. Be careful what you tolerate. You are teaching people how to treat you, the transcript warns. If you let others cross lines, whether through disrespect, manipulation, or neglect, you signal that your worth is up for debate. But when you hold firm, you not only protect your peace, you attract those who value you as you are. Show respect even to people who don't deserve it, not as a reflection of their character, but as a reflection of yours, the transcript suggests. This isn't about weakness. It's about rising above, confident in who you are regardless of how others act. In relationships, this confidence shapes how you love and are loved. Don't chase someone to prove your worth. They should see it without you begging. Don't devalue yourself because they didn't value you. Know your worth even if they don't, the transcript urges. A partner, friend, or family member who dims your light doesn't deserve your energy. Trust your instincts when something feels off. Those quiet nudges are often wiser than loud promises. Trust in yourself and your first instinct on decisions, the transcript advises, because no one knows your heart better than you do. Living this way isn't easy. It demands courage to stand alone when needed, to say no without guilt, to prioritize yourself without apology. But the reward is a life unburdened by regret. In the end, we only regret the chances we didn't take, the relationships we were too afraid to have, and the decisions we waited too long to make, the transcript reflects. Confidence and self-respect propel you toward what matters, ensuring you don't look back wishing you'd lived more boldly for yourself. Relationships, then, become a mirror of your inner strength. When you value yourself, you draw in those who do the same, people who enhance, not erode, your spirit. You stop clinging to the wrong ones out of fear and start cherishing the right ones out of choice. Sometimes you have to let go of something good to make room for something better, the transcript notes. This is the essence of self-respect, trusting that you deserve more and having the confidence to claim it. Relationships, cherishing the meaningful, releasing the meaningless, continued. Learning from the past, living for the present, crafting a life without regret. The past is a teacher, not a jailer. To live fully in the present, you must first make peace with what's behind you. Old wounds, betrayals, failures, or losses can cast long shadows, tainting today with yesterday's pain. Make peace with your past so it won't screw up the present, the transcript urges. A reminder that unresolved baggage weighs down your spirit and your relationships. This doesn't mean erasing what happened. It means facing it, understanding it, and then letting it rest. The scars remain, but they don't have to bleed anew each day. Learning from those hurts is what transforms them into wisdom. Every pain carries a lesson about trust, resilience, or the limits of your control. Forget what hurt you, but never forget what it taught you, the transcript advises. A friend's betrayal might teach you to guard your heart more wisely. A failed dream might show you where your true strengths lie. These aren't just wounds. They're markers of growth, proof you've survived and adapted. But don't let them define you. You are not your mistakes or the hands that harmed you. You are the person who rose from them, shaped but not shackled. This balance, learning without being consumed, frees you to live now. The present is where life happens, where relationships deepen or dissolve, where choices set the stage for tomorrow. You can't change the past, but you can shape your future by learning from it, the transcript notes. Too often, we linger in regret, replaying what we could have done differently, or we postpone joy, waiting for a perfect future that's never promised. The tomorrow is promised to no one, the transcript warns. If you don't act today, mending a bond, ending a toxic tie, or chasing a dream, you risk looking back with the bitter taste of what if. In relationships, this means showing up fully in the moment. Tell those you love that you love them. Don't assume they'll always be there to hear it later. Tell those people you love that you love them and say it often, the transcript suggests, because time slips away faster than we realize. Heal rifts with a parent, a sibling, or a friend while you can. The chance might not come again. And if a connection no longer serves you, release it now, not after years of clinging to a ghost. Don't cling to a mistake just because you spent a lot of time making it, the transcript cautions. Action today prevents the regret of inaction tomorrow. Living for the present also means letting go of what you can't control. The past taught you what it could, now it's done. Obsessing over it steals your energy from the people and possibilities in front of you. The more you spend clinging to the past, the less likely your future will be any brighter, the transcript reflects. Relationships thrive when you're here, not lost in yesterday's echoes. A partner doesn't need your ghosts. A friend doesn't need your grudges. Bring your lessons forward, but leave the weight behind. This approach demands courage to confront old pain, to extract its value, and to step boldly into today. The first step to getting anywhere is deciding you're not willing to stay where you are, the transcript asserts. Every move you make now, forgiving yourself, reaching out, or walking away, builds the future you'll inhabit. Relationships are no exception. They grow when you nurture them in the present, not when you let the past dictate their course. Time heals almost everything. Give it time, the transcript promises, but healing starts with your choice to act, not just wait. Ultimately, learning from the past and living for the present is about agency. You can't rewrite what was, but you can write what will be. When you stop chasing the wrong things, the right ones catch up, the transcript reminds us. Let the past refine you, not confine you, and let today be the canvas where you paint a life and relationships worth cherishing. The days are long, but the years are short, the transcript observes. Don't let them slip by carrying yesterday's burdens when you could be building tomorrow's joys. Below is the English translation of your 500-word conclusion. Preserving the original meaning and tone. Conclusion: living meaningfully, reducing regrets. Life is a fleeting journey, and the lessons from the video Old Age Regrets. Life lessons you need to learn before it's too late. On the YouTube channel ZenLight 8, remind us that true value lies not in material possessions or achievements, but in how we live and treat others. When we pass away, no one remembers the money we earned or the things we owned. What lingers is the love, sincerity, and imprint we leave on others' hearts. This urges us to cherish time with family and friends, those who bring profound meaning to our lives. Time slips by in the blink of an eye, and the greatest regrets often stem from opportunities we fail to seize. Don't postpone joy or wait for a perfect future. Act today. The video emphasizes that time is the most precious asset, and using it wisely is the key to a life without remorse. Spend it on relationships that matter, but also learn to let go of those who leave you lonely or only seek their own gain. This selectivity isn't selfishness. It's a way to protect your worth and pave the path for better connections. Confidence and self-respect form the foundation for a healthy life and relationships. Knowing your value, you won't diminish yourself to please others but will instead live true to who you are. The video encourages trusting your instincts and taking responsibility for your life, for only you truly know what's best for you. This also demands self-reliance and discipline, qualities that help you overcome the fear of failure and persist toward your goals, even when the road is tough. Balance and maturity are core lessons ZenLight 8 conveys. Don't blindly chase perfection or happiness, as they aren't fixed destinations. Happiness arises from accepting reality, its hardships, its losses, and growing through them. Losing a relationship isn't always a failure. Sometimes, it's a chance to find something better, like a genuine friendship or inner peace. Life doesn't promise ease, but it grants us the ability to grow stronger through challenges. Finally, be grateful for the small things and live authentically. You only live once. Don't leave behind too many regrets. The video from ZenLight 8 serves as a reminder that each day is an opportunity to love, learn, and move forward. Live in a way that, when you look back, you smile for having lived fully, not for what you missed.